Hey guys, this is Ray the Messenger, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about what you should do when you can't finish what you started. Now let's get right into the video. It can have many reasons why you can't finish the things that you start in life. Sometimes it's you go on the way to achieving your goal, and in the middle of the goal realizing, oh, this is actually not the real thing that I want in life. So this is actually a positive experience. When you pursue the goal, and on the way to the goal we realize, oh, I actually want something different. But this has to be a conscious decision. It cannot be some kind of decision where you're like, oh, and I'm going to do another thing. Because a lot of people have this big issue in their life that most of the time, like for 80% or 90% of the people that have this problem, right, where they start something and can't finish it, most of them have a syndrome that I call the shiny object syndrome. So they think if I go out there and chase this next big thing before I finish this thing, it will be way better. And this is just a mechanism for their own self to prevent them from going through the hard stuff. Because in all areas of life, if you have some kind of bigger goal that you want to achieve and you're starting to walk towards that goal and you start setting smaller goals on the way, you realize, oh, this is not that easy. Especially in the beginning, you will have a lot of motivation, and in the beginning it's easy to wake up, go out there, for example, work out or run in the morning, and then after some time you realize, oh wait, this is actually not that easy, because you will have days where you're not motivated. And what you're going to do on those days? Where do you go? When the motivation is gone, there's nothing left, and the only thing that is left is the discipline and going through and doing the things that you don't want to do. This is facing these things. And then most people, when they come to that point where they realize, oh, now I have to do the real work. Like in the beginning, that's the easy part where you have the motivation, you wake up, but then in the middle you realize, oh, now it's difficult, so I'm just going to do something different. But your brain will do that subconsciously. So subconsciously you're like, I don't think this is even worth it. I should just do something else. Or most people, they just flat out give up, and this is the worst thing. So when you're somebody listening, when you're somebody who's just there and you say, oh, now I give up, that mentality has to be eliminated from your life immediately. You cannot be a quitter. You cannot be somebody who just says, I'm going to give up. There's another way you can do this. So if you realize that the goal you're pursuing is not worth it and you don't really want it, it's okay to go and do something else. But if you're somebody where it happens 10 times, so let's say I have a goal where I'm like, oh, I want to play basketball, I want to become a professional basketball player, just a hypothetical example, right? And now I go out there, play basketball, and then after 1 week or 2 weeks I'm like, oh, I don't like basketball, now I'm just become a soccer player. And then other people will be like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then I go out there, play soccer for 1 week and 2 weeks, maybe even a month, and then after 1 month I'm like, so I don't really like soccer, like my legs are really tired, I think I'm going to do something else, I think I'm going to become a professional pool player. And then it just goes to the next thing, you know these people, and at the end of the day you're just sitting there and you haven't achieved nothing and you've been nowhere because you haven't put in the work to acquire those skills. And most goals that you want to have, the bigger goals, they acquire a certain skill set and a certain mindset, the combination of the two. And you can never get the skill set or even the mindset if you don't follow through. If you give up in the middle of the way, if you're in a marathon and you give up in the half of the middle of the way, then you're in the middle of nowhere and you failed. But you have to face the failure. You have to go through. You have to use the discipline. And if you're somebody who's just giving up constantly, you have to stop yourself. You need to immediately stop yourself because this will become a habit. And in the beginning, nobody is born a quitter. I don't believe there's such a thing as somebody who's born a quitter. It's just people become enveloped in the social structures and then they start believing certain things that even their parents told them. Because in the end of the day, most people, they just live a life that they don't really want. They live a reality where in some kind of form or some kind of way they've given up on their dreams. So actually you're surrounded most likely by quitters or people who never went through the way. If you're sitting in the front line and you've never went through the road, for example, in the marathon, you're just standing in the starting lines, you've never been through the road, and those people are quitters and people who are afraid to go and walk. So these quitters and their mentality will go on to you, and you will also have a quitter mentality and I'm going to go easy mentality. But the people who actually achieve the bigger things, if you look at anybody and any one of them who have achieved some kind of greater goal that they set themselves, and goals, they should be great, otherwise it's not even worth it to achieve them. For you, they should be difficult to get and hard to get, so they're meaningful. If you have a goal that's easy to achieve, then there's nothing behind it, then why should you care? Why should you even put in the work, right? If anybody can have it. I give you an example, a really concrete example. Let's say I set myself the goal, oh, I'm going to buy a Coke, right? I'm just going to buy a Diet Coke. What kind of goal is that? Where's the motivation in that? I can just go out there and go into a store and pay like $1 or something, or $2. I don't know how much it costs, like $3. I don't know how much it costs. Listen, I don't know, and just walk into the store, buy the Coke, and oh, how great, I achieved my goal. There's no motivation behind it. I'm not going to be motivated to wake up in the 5 in the morning to go and get a Coke. That's crazy. So when you have another goal that's worth it, where you're like, oh, not everyone has this. This is what makes goals so great. Not everybody has this. Maybe you look out there, you see a nice, beautiful penthouse. You're like, I'm going to live in this penthouse, but it's $30 million, and that's the difference. That's where you have the big goals, and this is what makes you go wake up in the morning and go out there and put the work, because you're like, this is the big goal, and I need to do so much more in order to get there. That's why you're motivated. If you're somebody who says smaller goals and you never achieve them, it doesn't make any sense. So because it's like, oh, now I'm just going to go out there, like we had the example with the Coke. You're just going out there and buying the Coke. What you need to do, you need to set yourself high goals, but you need to start walking towards them and start doing the things necessary, and eliminate the quitter mindset. The quitter mindset that you currently have for people who are going easy. Nobody going after the big goals. Nobody has ever been easy. If you look at Kobe Bryant, like the late great Kobe Bryant, look at the things he said. He always talked about the Mamba mentality, and the people that always talked about him, they knew that this guy was crazy, quote unquote, because he woke up in the morning, he was the first person there and the last person to go. He was obsessed, and you also need to be obsessed. Otherwise, if you're not obsessed, you will never get there. Yeah, maybe you'll achieve like some smaller goal where you're like, it's good to have, but not the biggest thing. Yeah, you can achieve that probably, but in the end of the day, if you want the truly big goals, you have to put in the work. And this is where I'm going to do some real talk with you. It's going to be some real talk, and most likely you will probably not like this. Many people don't like it when the real talk comes in. If you're truly somebody who's constantly quitting right now, you start something and you can't finish it, ask yourself, why am I even starting this? If you can't even finish it, why are you starting? Do you really want it? Or is this just some kind of self-therapy where you're like going out there and doing things that you never actually wanted to do and just finding random things to do? Ask yourself, like, throw all these things away. Take all these things that you're doing right now that don't matter, take them, throw them in the trash, and get yourself one goal and say, listen, I don't even give a fuck or even give a shit about anything else except for this one goal. And now you're going to run towards that goal, and you have to give yourself a promise, and you also have to give me a promise, but more importantly yourself, because you're doing this for yourself, you're not doing this for me. You have to give yourself a promise and be like, listen, right now I want this goal, I'm going to go out there and try to achieve it as hard as I can until from the bottom of my heart I can say I have achieved it, or I find something that is way more important to me. But you have to be honest with this, and not use your inner self like, as an excuse, like, I don't really want it, but in the end of the day you wanted it, but you were too weak to follow through. This cannot happen. So it's really difficult to differentiate between these two things. The one side where you're just like a quitter and just give up constantly, which you probably are, and on the other side you realize, while actually achieving a lot of things on your way to achieving the bigger goal, you realize, this is not 100% the thing that I truly want in my life. Because of course it's about achieving great things, but also it's important to have meaning in your life, and also to be like, I don't like the word happy, like I don't like I'm being happy, but I think it's like meaning. It's like meaning, purpose, and also where you're like, I'm achieving something that actually has meaning to me. If you're going out there and achieving some kind of random goal that has no meaning to you, it doesn't make sense. So it needs to have some kind of meaning behind it, and then it's great. It can also be monetary things, like some kind of financial goals. It's also probably great, or some other things. But in the end of the day, this is the thing you have to do. You have to put yourself there with a goal and start walking towards it. And this is the thing that I did in my life that helped me a lot. Of course, I'm also on my way still. I'm not there yet. I'm not telling you this as some kind of preacher. Like, I'm not somebody who has achieved like the legendary things that I still want to achieve. But I'm telling you this from the point of a person who's going out there and starting to get these things. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you liked the video, put a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you, goodbye.